and don't get thread happy. I'm speaking from experience. I know that sometimes I'll just sit there and get going with the thread for no particular reason other than I'm just not paying attention, and I end up with a fly that's overly bulky. Working with bucktail, a lot of times they vary, but you're going to have some fuzz that's in the bottom part of that fiber, and you want to get all those out of there. There's a little triangular structure. If you put those under a microscope, they have a sharp edge to them, and that edge, if you don't comb it out of the longer bucktail that you want, that underfur will, in some cases, cut your thread when you're applying pressure, and it's a real bummer. And it also doesn't really allow those fibers to free up and flow around the hook. They kind of bind everything together. So you comb that out, and that's a nice way to get everything to work properly, and you get that free flowing form. And so a couple 3 wraps, keep it tense, not too tense, and then start putting some heavy pressure on it. Once you get that distributed around the hook, you can see we get a nice even flow. The key on these is you want to have everything flowing evenly, a nice amount of material distributed around. We're going to reverse tie that back, and you can see how nicely those two colors kind of complement and pop each other. Move forward again. In front of the tie down area, and we'll just continue with that taper, and then again moving backward to the rear, securing that material. And again, that's a reverse tie, and that locks that fiber in there really tight. If you were to go in there right now and you feel this fly, you're going to feel a lot of bulk in around the hook that protects that against teeth and against any type of attack from a predator, and it's real nice. So hair feather flash, I have gone to using about 4 feathers per fly. So at this point we're pretty much done with our feather application, but I'm going to add one more type of flash in here. I like now to go to like a crystal flash, more of a crinkly flash, and that diffuses light differently, shows up differently in the water to the angler, and gives us a nice contrast in materials. Again, shows up to us, gives a different flash in the water, and really finishes off that flash profile nicely. So just like I was doing with those others, I'll get them up, capture them about halfway, distribute it real nice and even on the hook, come forward, continuing that taper nearly to the head of the fly, and I've got a nice amount left to work with the eyes, as well as the last whirl of hair that I'm going to add. And at this point it starts to get a little challenging sometimes if you get too bulky to find a place to put the bucktail. But what I like to do is I'll look for that spot that I'm going to put the next ring of bucktail on, and I'll build up a little bit of a bump in front of it. You can see I come in here and I build up a thread bump with a slight little saddle behind it, and that'll help lock in this last bit of bucktail. And I'm going to finish it off with black. It's a real nice contrasting color, and it'll pop behind those eyes really well, and you'll see that I'm able to use that to, especially when you reverse tie it, it'll come out really nice. Those you want to get a nice flush trim on those fibers, and that'll help build a beautiful head to that fly to finish it off. So again, spin that thread, get it real tight, couple 3 wraps, capture it back there. Sometimes you kind of have to help it back behind that little saddle bump and distribute it around there. Couple wraps to secure it. And we'll reverse it back here, and I got a nice amount left to apply those eyes, and I'm going to have to actually wrap that back a little bit on itself as you get to the head of the fly. You'll learn how to keep that profile in the right angle depending on the type of bait fish pattern you're trying to mimic. And if you keep a nice taper going, you're going to find at the end it's a lot easier to apply the fly eyes, Clear Cure eyes to this, so they look good and they perform good. they might be a little bit, we use a lot of thread. This isn't quite like you're tying a nymph or a dry fly, obviously, so we do go through quite a bit of thread, but that's what engineers these flies into a real bulletproof, tooth-proof fishing rig. And see that nice taper? That's going to set those eyes on there really well. I'm going to just do a quick whip finish, secure my thread. We're going to go right to the brushable Clear Cure Goo now. That's how you know if you're sober too at a party. If you can say Clear Cure Goo 3 times, you're in pretty good shape. I'm going to put a nice little base of, I like to use this brushable myself because I can really control where it goes. It'll free flow once I get it on there, but I'll brush it back slightly into those bucktail fibers to start penetrating those. Get a nice bead on all the way around. Coating all the thread, encapsulating that thread, and you want to have enough so there's a bit that flows around that you're going to be able to stick the eyes on initially. They do have a sticky back, but I found that putting a little extra Clear Cure Goo material on there, and if you get a little bit up on your bucktail, you can just wipe that off really quick right now, and it won't cure on there in a place you don't want it. So then we're going to grab these new eyes and place them on here before I hit it with the light. And these are beautiful. I'm really, really happy with the way these look. So if you have a rotating vise, it's really nice because you can lay one on. Get it the way you want. And I like to have them sort of tented at each other at an angle over the top of the hook, so laying those on like that. I'm going to release them out. I'm going to release them out of the, I'm going to take this out of the vise now. Just get them where I want them. I need just a little more material in here, a little bit more Clear Cure Goo at this point, just to give me something to stick to. Hit it with a light, 5 seconds. You'll start getting that curing into the base of that eye. Alright, so this is one of the things I really enjoy about Clear Cure Goo is the end product. You know, finishing a fly is always sort of the final touch, and with the old products, it just never was really very satisfying, easy, or enjoyable. And when I started working with Clear Cure Goo, it was a whole new experience for me. And so here I am at this point. I've got the fly virtually finished. I've got the head wraps covered with Clear Cure Goo, a little bit of the eyes set in with a slight dab of the Clear Cure Goo, and as you look at this, I have some gaps to fill. And in the old days, it was a real pain in the butt because we had a short pot life on epoxy, if that's what we were using, or if I was, Softex or any of that stuff. It just never was simple. Clear Cure Goo, especially the brushable product, which I like, self-leveling, flows very nice. I'm going to get a little bead of this going, and I'm going to drop it in here, and it's going to go down into behind the gap in those eyes, flow into there on its own, and work really well. And sometimes I got to use the point of the scissors to help kind of put it into an area, but it'll start to self-level, work down behind, fill in all those air gaps. And the idea being that we get everything encapsulated into the with the Clear Cure Goo, and really builds a bulletproof fly. Work it back into the fiber of the bucktail a little bit. Get all those edges covered. Once we have it in place how we like it, take that light, about 5-6 seconds. Boom. Cured. Bring it to the top side now. We're tying outside today and there's a little bit of sunlight, so this stuff will tend to set up a little bit as we're working outside, but it's such a beautiful day. Mid-January. Northern boy like me is real happy. Had to get out and try it out. Oh, feeling that sun and that wind. Alright. Just about done. I'm going to take that brush now and brush over a top coat over everything. Cover it up real well. We're done. I really like the way these new eyes, these Clear Cure eyes look. Very complimentary. They're engineered to work with this product. Basically, they're built out of the same material that Clear Cure is, so they take extremely well. Very durable. One last hit with the curing light, and then I'll quickly put a alcohol-based hardener on top. I use the Sally Hansen's. That'll harden it, stop that tack, and we'll be done. It's that easy. And we have a professional, durable, awesome looking finish to this fly head that is going to give me a long service life, sexy fishing appearance, and a great fly tying time. Thanks, Clear Cure Goo.